Hello, everyone. Hello, welcome to the Greatness Game. I'm so glad to be here. And I love this subject because it's perfect for today. Today was a little heavy, a little hard, and I'm in my workout gear because I am in a workout tonight instead of this morning. And so it is a perfect day to be with you. I hope that you have a glass of wine or maybe a little dessert or a cup of tea to have our conversation about leadership today, because it's not always fun leading a family, leading in good times, leading in bad times, leading a team. It's not always fun. So it is a perfect conversation to have today because I don't think everybody's enjoying leading right now. So we're going to just unpack this. I'm going to give you a few tips, but first, I want to welcome you in and see who's here. And my question is, this is really on my mind, what you guys are watching right now at home. So are you hooked on a Netflix show, or are you renting movies? I was working out at the gym about 3 weeks ago, and I hadn't seen, I'm going to blank the name. I hadn't seen a movie that had just won an Academy Award. And the guy, one of my fellow workout guy friends, freaked out, and he said, well, I own the CD, you have to watch it. And so I got his CD and I watched his CD. It was so weird. I haven't watched a CD of a movie in a long time. So I want to hear what you guys are watching right now. Are you in a show? Are you hooked? Are you, maybe you're totally off TV right now, but I do want some of your suggestions of what you're watching. So, the other thing I want to just say is, before I get to who's here, is just what we're grateful for. And as I was getting ready, I dressed up for you guys tonight. This hat is actually from the Fiesta Bowl. And we just went, it was our first time ever being at a bowl game. I don't know if you've ever been to a bowl game, but a client gave me these tickets, and it was such a blessing, and it was so fun. It was such a great date night with my husband. And this was my souvenir. And I was like, I am great. I'm staying in gratefulness of everything that I have. And so this is part of my gratefulness right now, because it is not easy leading right now, and I'm just staying in gratefulness. And this is one of those reminders of I'm so grateful that I had that experience of going to that football game. So sometimes it's just that simple of keeping yourself in the space of gratefulness. All right, so welcome in. Let's see who's here. Hi, Roz. Paul, welcome. Hi, Evie. Mwah, mwah. Barbara, welcome. Naya, and Timothy, two of my bestest friends from New York. I love you both. And Timothy, oh my gosh, 3rd season of Ozark. I'm dying. Greg never finished season 2, so he's catching up now. I'm like, you only had a year to catch up. One of the best shows ever made. So I'm dying to watch the 3rd episode or 3rd season. So I'm dying for that. Hi, Nikki. Welcome. So inspirational movies on Prime and Netflix. Yay. Good. You know what else I love? I love comedy. I love comedy. And if you didn't know this about me, a little fact, I was in a comedy troupe for a year and a half when I was 20, and I love improv comedy. So, and I love stand-up comedies too. So anyway, anything funny, stand-up comedy, I love, we're addicted to. So if you have a good recommendation for a good show, good comedy, or inspiration. Also, TED Talks. Don't forget TED Talks. Those are so good to keep you inspired and positive. Remember, where your mind goes, your life goes. So, oh, Naya, I'm so stressed out. There's 100% no time for anything, learning everything on the fly. Naya is a teacher. Can we just stop and give Naya and all the teachers out there, can everybody give her some hearts or claps? Naya, I love you. She's a high school teacher, one of my best friends. I just, go out and make a difference for a teacher, for a doctor, someone on the front lines. So give her some love. I love you, Naya. All right, guys. So tonight is one of my favorite subjects, and that is leadership. If you don't know, I co-founded a girls organization called the Girls Rule Foundation, which is empowerment and leadership programs for teen girls, because this is what I believe. We train females 20 years too late. We train females in leadership at around 32 instead of 12. So we have 12 leadership principles and 4 amazing programs at the Girls Rule Foundation. So leadership is just one of my favorite subjects, and this is why. Leadership is an action, it's not a title. I think a lot of adults, definitely a lot of kids, like wait around for a title, like someone gives them permission, like you can be a leader now, or you lead a club, or you lead sports. But leadership is an action. It's who you're being, right? First and foremost, you're leading your life through your choices every single day. So right there, you're a leader. So I want to give you 5 tips around leading, wherever you are, leading students, leading a team, leading your family, leading yourself right now. Like just leading yourself is important because where you're going. And my favorite line, y'all, say it with me. This is all about you because your future needs you, your past doesn't. Your future needs you, your past doesn't. So the greatness game is about your mental toughness, your leadership, and your greatness games. And I want to hold you accountable to your greatness games, not your smallness games. Now, I want to say before I get into these 5 points is comfort and self-care is really important right now. Stress is high, emotions are high, things are heavy. So you want to give yourself self-care, love, some breathing time, also some grace. You know, we are not doing everything perfect. So, which is actually one of my favorite points that I'm going to get into. Leadership is not about perfection. I think one of the biggest things that I see in adults and in the girls that I train is I think there's this myth that we have to be perfect and we have to have the answer every single time. And I think one of my biggest lessons in running for businesses, everything that I've ever done in my life, I certainly do not do perfectly. But what I do is when I don't know the answer, I ask my team. That's the perfect time to brainstorm and get creative juices going. It is not a time to go in your head and shame yourself for not having the answers. So especially right now where it's like uncharted waters, you know, there's a lot of people, they don't know, you know, Zoom and all these other at-home, technologies. So there's a learning curve. And what I will say about learning curves is, especially when you're leading, one of the hardest things that I've had to learn in the last 7 years is I've never owned a nonprofit or ran a nonprofit. So when you're deep in a learning curve, like you're learning every single day how to do this thing, but you're also doing it. So you're like learning, doing. That's what we're in right now. So we're learning how to work from home. We're learning how to be with our spouse all the time. We're learning how to educate our kids from home. We're learning how to do all of this at the same time of doing it. So there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be trips, right? All this stuff that has never been there before. So one of the biggest things I can say to you is give yourself grace during this time. Take a breath and just say, I forgive you, meaning yourself. I forgive you for not doing this perfectly. It's okay. So we're figuring it out as we go along. All right, so leadership is not a title. It is an action, first and foremost. Leadership is not about perfection. What I can say in leading my 2 businesses, leading my clients, leading previous businesses and teams is showing up. Participation is way more important than perfection. Like showing up, not having the answers. Showing up when you don't look perfect. Showing up when you don't even feel like being there. Like show up. Showing up is just really half the battle. So that piece of like participation, let go of the game of perfection. Perfection is the number one smallness game. Number one that people get tripped up in. So there's 5 main smallness games and perfection is number one. So we can get tripped up on it. So perfection. Look at, I want you guys to actually look at where you are playing a perfection game in your life. Like you have to have it all together. You have to be perfect. And see where you can actually give yourself some grace and where you can bring some authenticity or ask for help, right? Where can you, maybe it's not publicly, but maybe there's a mentor or there's someone, we all know a lot of people. Welcome everybody who just came in. Welcome Nancy and Jennifer. Nice to see you. Shirley, welcome. And Missy, hello Missy. We're talking about leadership when you don't want to lead. So, and that goes with families, right? This is not just like leading a team of 100 employees. This is leading at home. Right now, that's the hardest thing, leading at home. So perfection I can tell you, it can get you in a real tight grip and you can get really spun out with it. So be willing to have the courage to actually look at where am I playing the perfection game and see where you can bring some grace, where you can get some mentorship. What I was saying is look in your network and the people that you know, friends, family, colleagues, and see who does this thing really well. Whether it's your bookkeeping or Zoom or, just list any skill set. There's someone in your network that knows how to do that really well. I remember when I first had my daughter, I literally surveyed like all of my friends who had babies already. And I was like, tell me your do's and don'ts, like list them out for me because I wanted to learn their lesson, right? And so leadership is very much like that. If you keep getting tripped up somewhere in your leadership, ask for help. I don't know why we're so trained to like, oh, we're going to figure it out on our own. BS. That is such a smallness game. Like, go ask someone for help. So someone else in your network does that thing really, really well. All right. And that's something that I've worked on for the last 2 years. It's actually a skill set, like to ask for help. Is a skill set to be able to pick up the phone and say, you know what, you do this really well. Could you mentor me on this? Could you show me how to do this? Hop on a Zoom, hop on a FaceTime, right? Or have them, I'm actually having, that reminds me, I'm having a mentor call on Friday with a guy who has raised over $2 million on Kickstarter. He's an expert, right? I'm not an expert. I'm about to do a Kickstarter next month. So I'm getting my butt on a phone call with him on Friday. I asked my network, who knows someone that has done Kickstarter before successfully? And sure enough, someone knew it. Boom, connected me. Friday, we're having a call. So I can't say enough. Ask for help. Pick up the phone. You're an expert in this. Can I get your top tips, or will you mentor me through this? All right. So Ixnay on the perfection, show up, participate, and ask for help where you're tripped up. All right, the next point, number 3, is something that I promise you will like change your life in parenting, business, career. I don't care where you work career-wise, but also just how you do life. And this is actually a book called 10-10-10. It's something that I read years ago. And the whole book is about this one concept. And I love it. So it's a decision filter. So 10 minutes, 10 hours, 10 months. And if you've heard of this, put yes, because I'm sure a lot of you have heard of it. Some of you haven't. So this is what it is. When you have a decision, let's say your daughter's like practice for all year long for her ballet recital, but you are at work and your boss says, I need you to go on this really important business trip for the whole entire company, and I'm sending you. And it's the weekend of your daughter's recital, right? So the decision is this. is this, when you get into conversation with your daughter, and tell her you're going to this, or you have to decide between the two, this is how you think. Is this going to impact her for 10 minutes? Like, she's going to cry, she might have a little fit, but she'll get over it. Or for 10 hours, she's going to be super mad at you and be, maybe pouty face for 10 hours, then she'll be over it. Or in 10 months, she's still going to be really mad at you and punishing you. So it helps with those decision filters of like, oh, you know what? Yeah, that is an easy decision. She'll be over it in 10 minutes, right? So sometimes we get in our head as leaders, as parents, that, oh my gosh, this is going to be so devastating. And when we start to think about it, it's like, oh, yeah, no, this is going to, and it might be the reverse. Like, I'm going to tell my boss no, and he's going to be mad at me for 10 minutes and it'll be fine. But I think we get at, in our heads. So that's a decision filter. It's just a little, it's just one of those tools that you can use forever. I literally have used it 100 times since I learned it years ago in training. But it's the 10, 10, 10. Now you can also add a fourth 10, 10 years. Now, what I can tell you is there's things in my own childhood, and you can probably think of things then in your childhood where something happened and you were devastated for 10 years. Like, it was huge for you. So that's where you want to think, is this worth it? But that's part of being a leader, is making hard decisions. Is this going to hurt for 10 minutes, 10 hours? Yeah, but we'll get over it. So that's just a little tip around leadership, especially when you don't want to lead and you have those hard decisions. You pull out a tool like that and it helps, right? We need help. We need help every once in a while. All right. So Nancy, hi Shannon. Nancy, I heard about it from a good friend. So yes, great book. Read about it. The whole entire book is about it. It's called 10, 10, 10. And her name is Susie, but I'm forgetting her last name, who's the author. Okay. So the last tip is really, really important. And this tip, I know if you are a parent, if you are a leader, you probably already have this, but this is a reminder. Sometimes in a crisis or when we're challenged and we really don't want to lead, the last thing we want to do is look at our values, right? But what I can tell you is our values are a compass, and it is something that leads us. It's almost like you can pull up your values and lead from them, right? So in good times and normal times, we hire, fire, and lead every day from our values. But it's even needed even more when we're in a challenging time and we don't want to lead. So this sits on my desk. These are our 10 values for my nonprofit. Let me see that. There we go. So they sit right here. And, this is a thing as a leader, like emotions play a part, and, you're always putting out fires and you're pulled in different, whole different directions all the time. So what's really important is to have your values really clear and really in a place where you can see them, right? That you can execute on them. So creating a fun and empowering environment, that's value number 3. For me, every time we do an event, that is like where I'm leading from. Everything, every single touch point has to be fun and empowering. The whole thing that we're trying to do is lift, encourage. So from registration to the food, to the event, to the speakers, to the lunchtime, like everything has to be positive, the music, obviously. So that is just one value, but it laces the entire event. So obviously, teamwork, number 10, something that is so important, teamwork. And something that I say about that is asking for help, really asking for help, and you're not allowed to be in a silo. So, and this is also the thing, values, when you're off of them, it should feel like you're off of them. You're like, oh yeah, teamwork. Let's come back to center and do some teamwork, right? So number 5, making wise and healthy choices that further the mission, not the self. So there's been a few times I had to fire board members because they're all about themselves, right? You don't have a nonprofit with a board that one of the individuals is all about themselves, off the board, right? Especially when one of our values is about that. So your values, it's there to guide your leadership, especially in challenging times, especially when you don't want to lead. You can actually look at it and go, oh, okay, this is my game plan. Hire, fire, and lead from these. Oh yeah. But when you're off of them and not doing them, you should actually feel it. You should be like, oh yeah, and it pulls you back to center. So, and if you work for a company that you don't even know their values, they certainly don't lead from the values. My suggestion, not in this environment, obviously, but that is not a healthy place. It's not a sustainable place to work. So any questions around the things that I said? Hi, Anna. Welcome, Lindsay. Welcome to the Greatness Game. Hello. We're talking about greatness games around leadership, especially when we don't want to, when we're so exhausted. And I want to go back just to the first thing, and it's not about perfection. It is about movement right now. It's about progress. I made a little bit of progress today. I didn't make a ton of progress today. It's just, I got to give myself some grace. But one of the most brilliant things, I'm really loving these 7 o'clock time with you guys because it does hold me to account. It holds me to my commitment, my purpose of encouragement and greatness in the world to, just my own, what I say to you guys, it's about your future. Your future needs you. My future needs me to show up, to lead. And that doesn't look like perfect right now. It doesn't look like 100 things gets done like a normal, like I usually get 100 things done. But I'm getting 5 things done. Yay! Everybody say winning! If you got one thing done today, I want you to say winning. So put in the comments winning if you got one thing done today. And that one thing might have been a shower. It might have been you sold a house, which actually one of my clients did. It might have been you cleaned out your kitchen closet. So whatever that one thing is, say one thing, winning. That is what is important, is acknowledging yourself. I have a winning wall. Winning, Evie, yes, Rick. Yes, we're winning. It's super important to acknowledge yourself, especially right now. Oh, Barbara, I love you. Your nightly meeting is helping me with my daily wins. Thank you. Well, Barbara, I happen to know your phone number, so I can text you. See, check how you're doing and how your progress is doing. So, Barbara, speaking of you, I posted on Facebook, somebody was talking about a 13-year-old's birthday is this weekend in Scottsdale, and they're super bummed that they can't have a party. And I was like, but Cakes by Whisk is open and you can order a custom cake. So if you didn't see that post, I tagged you on it. So go to there and hopefully you can put some information there so they can find you. All right, you guys. So this is the last thing, and I'm going to close up with this. It is a tip, but it's also the challenge. If you have not joined us, every night I'm giving you an action step. You can call it homework, but I don't really call it homework. I call it an action step because you are all about greatness, and greatness is about action. Smallness is about being paralyzed, stuck, right? In that, especially in that comfort zone. So really important. This is the action step. Create a master to-do list. A master to-do list. And this is the thing. You're either gonna put do it, delegate it, or delete it. You've got to have a real discernment right now of what's important and what's not. If it's not important, don't put it on your to-do list. All right. So Make it winning. Times 3, Timothy. High five. Good job. So master to-do list. So you know it could be projects, personal projects. It could be business, what you're up to right now. It's really important to have it written down. Nothing goes in your brain right now. You don't want to trust your brain right now. Your brain is a little mushy. It's a little emotional, right? It's a little heavy. So you want to have a notebook, a whiteboard. I don't care what it is. My kitchen cabinets are glass, and sometimes I write on there with a eraser, not an eraser, a Expo pen. So master to-do list. You're going to write next to each thing you're going to do. You are going to do it, or you're going to delegate it. Maybe you're going to delegate it to your kids or your husband or your coworkers. But that's going to help you stay in action, is having a list, and it's either your responsibility or someone else's that you're going to delegate. All right. So that's part of your leadership challenge of the night. All right. So I love you guys. Thanks for joining in the greatness game. Woo! Set goals and crush them and keep in action. I love you. I'm sending you guys all big hugs. I miss you guys. I see so many of my friends on here. I wish I could give you big hugs. Have a great night. I will see you right back here, 7 o'clock Pacific time every night. Bring a glass of wine or tea. I will see you tomorrow night. And tomorrow night, we're talking about trifecta of greatness. Oh my gosh. Don't show up if you're not ready to go there, because it is going to be an extraordinary conversation about your trifecta of greatness, and I'm going to kick a little bit of booty. All right, you guys. See you soon. Bye.